4. Bass, bring it down. Hey guys, Justin here and welcome to today's video. We are looking at how to use the Line 6 HX Stomp as an audio interface for Ableton Live. Now, the limitation with the HX Stomp is that it cannot send MIDI commands and act like a MIDI controller for Ableton. It's just not built that way. But hey, maybe if we were to raise the request long enough, they will heed our request and they will put in the ability for the HX Stomp to send MIDI notes, and that might be the way that we can get HX Stomp to act as a controller for Ableton. The basis of what I'm going to be talking about for the HX Stomp is very simple. It has got to do with how audio is routed inside the HX Stomp. Step 1 is to open Ableton Live with HX Stomp already on. So this way, the audio device that will be set up is HX Stomp. Step 2, go into your preferences, and once you go into the preferences, check out for the inputs and outputs under audio. And under audio outputs, you're going to make sure that 1 and 2, 3 and 4 are turned on. This will enable you to use the various outputs on the HX Stomp. So you're going to have to take note of the following information. Outputs 1 and 2 will be your main out 1 and 2. So whatever audio that you route out of Ableton Live with outputs 1 and 2 is going to follow your main guitar signal. So it's a submix of what you're playing on the guitar and any of the tracks that you're sending out. So you might want to try and have similar kinds of instruments grouped together. So if, for instance, if I were leading worship and playing rhythm guitar at the same time, I might record my lead guitar tracks and have them play through outputs 1 and 2. So you might have to tell your sound guy that you're going to be having a mixture of instruments coming out of 1 and 2. So keyboard, electric, and acoustic, for example, or keyboard, drums, and electric. That's going to be a very, very diverse mix. So let your sound guy know that you're doing that and ask him to give you feedback on how to change the submix coming out of Ableton to suit the live front of house. Outputs 3 and 4 are going to be sent out of the effects send on the right side of the HX Stomp. Now, this is where I use sends 3 and 4 for outputting the click and the cue track. In my previous Ableton video, I used an RCA cable with 1/4 inch converters to convert sends 1 and 2 into a stereo cable input for connection to the live mix aux in. Now with HX Stomp, you don't need to have the RCA cable, you just need a simple TRS headphone converter, which will convert from 1/4 inch down to the 1/8 inch or stereo kind of cable. So headphone connectors are cheaply available. So headphone connectors are freely available and they're quite cheap, so get yourself a few. Just have one permanently set up at your send on the right side of the HX Stomp. This is output 3 and 4. Step 3 is to make output assignments on Ableton Live on the tracks. When you're making these assignments, remember that outputs 1 and 2 are going to be sent out to main output left and right, and then outputs 3 and 4, that's going to be sent out through your send. Make sure that on the bottom right hand corner of Ableton Live, when you see Q out, that is set to 3 and 4. That way, when you use Ableton Live's click track, that will be sent out to the right. You don't want to send that out to the front of house, you want to send it to the 3 and 4. And now, because you're using a simple headphone adapter for send 3 and 4, all you need is a simple stereo cable that will connect from your HX Stomp into your in-ear monitor, mixer, whatever it is. In my case, it's Live Mix, so the aux in of Live Mix uses a traditional stereo input.
Tell you what, let's start the tags before we get crazy up in here.
Okay, so the full round of the text.
My soul will sing.
2 rounds, all right?
Yeah.
Two rounds, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Stand by.
Tag, all in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get all crazy up in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. In. forgot to mention a few things, so here is an attempt to make it right. My setup is unique to me. Your setup and your needs will be different. Now, this section of the video is for people who want to have 4 discrete signals coming out of the HX Stomp. Maybe you don't want to submix your tracks with your guitar. Maybe you don't need a click in the track and then you want to send out 3 other instruments from your HX Stomp using Ableton Live. That's possible too. Your limitation is that you have to live with a mono signal on all 4 of these outputs. If that's okay with you, you could potentially do the following. You're going to craft your tone to be a purely monotone. On the output block, you're going to pen it either hard left or hard right. If you pen it hard left, this is going out through output number 1. If you pen it hard right, that's going through output number 2. So for the purposes of this video, let's say you pen everything left, so everything's going output 1. Therefore, you have output 2 that is free. On Ableton Live, you can assign the output track to 2, and that will go through your main output. It's going to come out on main right. So you're going to have a discrete left signal for your guitar, right signal for any track that you want. The same logic applies to sends 3 and 4, but it's slightly easier because you don't need to worry about the main guitar being bled into that send. What you need to do is split that signal from your send output. So what I've done is I use an RCA to stereo cable. At the end of the RCA cable, I use converters to adapt it out to a TS style kind of plug. Therefore, you can use a DI box, and that will give you 2 different signals coming out of the send jack, potentially having 4 instruments coming out of the HX Stomp. I hope you found this video informative and interesting. If you do like what you see, please consider subscribing and smash that like button. If you have any questions or comments, please post them in the comment box below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching, and as always, this is Justin signing off.